Childhood, growing and developing years of a person, this is meant to be a highly important time to create morals, fundamentals, and skills necessary to be a success. Instead, the trauma CPS creates in these young minds set a path of disaster, and statistics prove it. In nearly 90% of their cases, the trauma is unnecessary. Time is the one thing that can never be given back. CPS takes away moments in life that can't be replaced. The time just keeps going, doesn't mean a thing anymore. They left as children, and it's up to them when they come home if they know who you are. Each second away is time you will never get back.
Studies towards incarceration.
Now comes the honorable judge in the halls of justice, where the Constitution will hold strong, and your rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness will trample CPS for all they have done to your child.
The truth and corruption that's revealed to you is enough to make you sick. This is not America we were sold.
Children are being taken from families at the rate of one a minute. It needs to be stopped.
It's time to wake up and abolish CPS.
Psalm 127:3. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. This suggests children are a precious gift from God to be valued and cared for.
In the United States, a child a minute is taken into DHS, CPS, and so on custody. The reality is their picks are already selected, you just don't know it. Being perfect no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. The services your family needs, we the people have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title 4 says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family values. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, just profitable for the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fathers. These are our children. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children we gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this Tuesday edition of CPS Victims Hunting for Justice. I am your host, CPS Punisher, and tonight we are going to do a little bit differently than usual. We don't exactly have a guest lined up right now, so what we were just thinking is, why don't we do a recap of everything that we've talked about over these past couple of months, and let's get some inside feedback from you guys in our chat right here. Boom, we have the chat layout right there. So we're going to let you guys, in a sense, run this gamut for us. I don't know where everybody just went, but they left. Whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever questions you have, please put them in the chat, and that's what we'll do tonight. And please remember, as always, be cool, be kosher with everything that you say on these chats. Be supportive of those that are around you. We're all here. We're all doing the same thing. We're all fighting together. So that being said, I'm going to bring in Melissa and Herbert here. Oh, Kim's here. Good. Kim's in the house. All right. So we got some Kim. Never mind. We can still do that, though, guys. Whatever you have to say, ask about. Do that in the chat. That would be great. Kim, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
No, maybe we don't have Kim yet. Oh, she's there. Boom. There she is. All right. Good. What's going on? What's going on in your
like
world?
Magic. Oh,
there
hell.
she is.
Just
Poof. There's
all
her
kinds
face.
of crazy shit.
Yeah. What are you working on right now? What do you got going on? What do you got for a story for us?
Oh, Lord. So Friday I went to court against an advocate or a person that holds themselves out to be an advocate, helping parents. Turns out that she's not an advocate. She actually is scamming parents to get money. She lies to parents about her own case in order to get parents to sympathize with her and give her money and them that she can help them get their kids back. And actually, she's been the reason that at least 3 children that I know of are not allowed to see their mother except for 4 days a month, and they're with their father, who has admitted to sexually abusing them.
Jesus
But
almighty.
the reason... So what happened was, she's got a history of abuse against her children, whom she adopted out of foster care. These are Native American children. She adopted them out of foster care with her ex-partner, and she's admitted in court documents that she physically, financially, emotionally, and sexually abused the ex and the children. And she has people thinking that she's a good advocate and she's this good person and whatever. And instead of her being such, she's out there scamming people out of money and ruining people's court cases. So I found this out after I came up to Minnesota to help her. And being up here, I ended up finding out the truth about who she is. And when I found out who she was, she decided to start harassing me and filed multiple false police reports against me. One of them, she alleged that I stole $13,000 worth of jewelry and electronics from her. Just would not leave me alone after I'm blocking her.
You didn't do that, right? You didn't do
absolutely
that, right?
not. No, absolutely not.
Just for the record.
Yeah,
Good.
for the record, I didn't. She actually admitted in court Friday that the only reason she filed the police report is the insurance company required it.
Oh, Jesus almighty.
Yeah.
Do you know what? This is getting ridiculous, right? I mean, how many people are out there? This is what we always preach here is like, watch out for these people that are trying to take advantage of these vulnerable people like us that are looking for any remedy that you can find, a quick fix, you know, like, look, I went and I did everything possible from the $50 roadside, attraction to, this, that, or this. I did anything that I saw that said that I could get my kid back. I did, and that's the way that our attitudes are, right? Like, we're going to do that anyway. These are our children, and we'll stop at nothing to get them back. So this leads to believe that there's a lot of room for people that are going to scam in this type of a situation, because you've got vulnerable people that have been, their hearts are torn out. They're lost. They're doing there's nothing that they can do, even though they're trying to do it. That feeling of just helplessness. So these people come along and say, hey, I'm going to get you your kids back, or hey, try my book or read my remedy and you'll get your kids back, making these false promises. It's disgusting. And I think that there needs to be some kind of a oversight, looking at that, like a wall of shame or something. Anybody that's out there that's watching our show or whatever, go to theabolishcps.com and there's a wall of shame there. But if you find advocates or whatever that aren't advocates and they're liars, let's put them on that list. That way that we can't, we can let people know, don't do this, don't help these people out, or don't use these people, because we all run in a pretty tight-knit circle. Like, all of us know each other, or we know each other from here. It's like the 6 degrees with Kevin Bacon, right? Like, by the time we get to the 6th person, someone will know the other one from the other circle. So we all pretty much know each other. So we know that we're all going to run into a similar, either a book, a person, a webinar, something, because there are a lot of people out there trying to scam on this type of situation, and it's just sickening.
Yep.
How many people?
Melissa and I had actually talked about, once I went to court, that we were actually talking about doing a podcast, talking about each individual advocate that we have proof are out there scamming parents. Yep. And this is one that we want to talk about. I'm going to have to, as far as this particular person, I'm going to have to delay it just a bit, because court on Friday was a shit show. Due process was completely violated on both sides. The judge did not allow for evidence to be presented, testimony to be taken, nothing. It was basically Judge Judy without the cameras. And
so wait a minute. Let's go back. What was this hearing specifically about?
It was a harassment restraining order against the advocate that I'm talking about. It was granted in my favor today. However, she has massive ability to be able to have it appealed because of the violation of due process. And I've already gotten ahead of that, because yesterday I filed a motion asking the judge to reserve her judgment because of the violation of due process, and asked her to recuse. And she went ahead and did her ruling today. So I've got to get ahead of this again, because if I allow for this so-called advocate to get in there and try to be the one to appeal it, she's going to win on the basis of violations of due process. But if I go in there and try to get ahead of it to have a rehearing and have actual fair hearing, then the likelihood of her getting this reversed is going to be less. So I've got to get in there and get that taken care of, so she can't. She tells people she has all this legal knowledge, and she has no clue. It was completely evident.
Hey, is she going to be smart enough to appeal it?
No, she's not going to. She'll know to appeal it. How to appeal it? No. But she does have another person that has a little bit of legal knowledge that's working with her. And so there's a possibility that she might be able to get somebody to maybe help her. But even if there is no possibility of her knowing how to do it, I need to make sure I do it, because if she just half-assed does an appeal, and just writes it out and says, I want to appeal this because I didn't get a chance to present evidence, then that can be overturned just based on that. So I want to go in and do it from my point of view and say, look, due process was violated on both sides, and have them throw the judgment out pending a rehearing instead of reversing the judgment.
Right.
So that way, because if they reverse the judgment, do what?
I mean, what do you? Oh, sorry.
I would file demanding a de novo of it.
Well, I can't demand a de novo because there is a record.
There's other grounds for de novo other than a violation of the having a record to do. You can look it up.
Now, Melissa, we can barely hear you. You sound muffled.
Yeah, you're mumbling. She lost one of her Bluetooths today, so she's very upset.
Yes,
what's up?
the Bluetooth took a long walk off of a short here, and I think it's still sitting at the DHR office.
She left it. Yeah, she left it hostage over there at the.
You left it with the enemy.
Damn my Bluetooth! What the hell?
Now, what do you?
Well,
what do
you
say?
can call up there and ask them, and if it is your.
Oh, I'm sure, just like the kids, right?
Yeah, but I own those, so
Right.
of course I'll keep those.
Hey, what? Do
Yeah,
you,
but
what do
her
you say
one
is
her
the
one
church-
earbud's not going to do them any good.
Right, they need the pair so they can return
No,
them
they got
themselves.
the box. They don't need the pair. They can use just one.
Oh yeah, the box
Oh,
is
okay.
where it's at. You're right, in earbuds. You have the
Okay.
box, you don't have nothing. Hey, so what are some things,
Well.
Kim, that you could say if you're hiring an advocate or you're having someone help you out? Do you have any sure tell signs that someone's a little fruity, or they're really not going to have your best interest in mind, or something? Is there something some surefire way that you can tell that these groups or people aren't good for whatever you're asking?
The first thing is, if somebody asks you for money straight out, you need to look at them. You need to look at them
With two heads?
skeptically. Yeah, you do, because a true advocate is interested in getting children out of the system. They're not interested in making money. I know we all have bills to pay, but a true advocate is not interested in making a profit. So if the advocate says, okay, look, send me your paperwork, let me take a look at it, and I can help you with this and I can help you with that, and then they can come back and say something like, you know, with me, I can legal writing. I can actually somebody for the actual writing of documents. So if I have somebody that says, okay, I've got all this stuff I want to use in it, I don't know what to do with it, you know, but I have this motion I need written, they can get me everything. This is what I want to use, and then I can write it for them. And I will actually charge for that, because that takes a significant portion of my time, and it keeps me from actually being able to work my regular job so that I can earn an income. But I don't charge for anything else. I don't charge for, you need me to go to court if it's somewhere that I have the ability to get to. I don't charge. If it's somewhere I don't have the financial ability to get to, then obviously I'm going to say, if you can get me there, I'll be there. If not, I'll be here via phone. But that's, do what?
I said I typically only charge for gas. Like when I went to Maine, they just covered my fuel of getting there and back.
Right. Like, yeah, so like if you can get me there, you know, however you want to get me there, you can get me there, I'll be there. With this particular advocate that I'm talking about, I actually completely, totally moved. Melissa and her husband came up, and, well, her trying to be ex-husband, anyway, they came up and helped me move my stuff. down near Melissa so that I could have it somewhere that I knew it was safe. And I could travel up here to Minnesota to help this advocate. And when I got into her home, she's wanting me to do all this legal work for her and pay all of her bills. And that's not the way things work. The other thing is when you have an advocate that, without looking at your paperwork, starts spouting off, we can file this and we can file that and we can file this and we can file that, and they haven't had a chance to look at your paperwork, then you know that that advocate probably is recycling something that they got from somebody else, and they really don't know what they're talking about.
Okay.
When I speak to parents, I will talk to them.
I say the same thing about advocates that I say about attorneys. If they come in making a whole hell of a lot of promises, they're full of shit.
Yes. Yep.
I never
when I
had
talk
an
to parents-
attorney making promises.
when I talk to parents and they give me a synopsis of their case, I'll say, okay, well, we could, based on what you're telling me, we might be able to do this or we might be able to do that. But I would have to see the files before I could determine if that's the right way to go. If you ever have an advocate that approaches you in such a way to try to give you a guarantee or make you feel like they're guaranteeing, if you give me this money, I'll get your kids back, that is the run. Because it doesn't matter how many kids I've gotten home, I'm still unsure of myself. And any good advocate is going to still question everything that they do.
I agree.
Ego is not a good place. Ego is not a good thing to have in an advocate.
Right.
We've never dealt with.
The other thing is, if the advocate is somebody that you can't find at least a year or more of social media presence as an advocate, then be wary of them. Because there's a lot of people that are coming out of the good woodwork who just got their kids removed, a month ago, and they're jumping on this whole bandwagon of sovereign law. They think they know what they're doing, and they really don't. And they are going to end up screwing up your case. So you want to make sure that whoever you're asking to help you, that they have a history that you can verify online that this person has helped others, that they've been doing this for a while.
Right. That's a great idea right there. That just made some things pump in my head. I don't know if that made any of you guys out there thinking about it, but in the chats, you guys have any other information that you have that we could, I know Kim's probably not done because Kim always has good things to say, but any of you guys out there that are watching this, please let us know if you have any ideas about how to spot out these funky advocates, the ones that are out there just to scam you guys. If you happen to know any advocates that are out there that have scammed you guys, please feel free to possibly fall into your keyboard and write their names so that we can all know that, make sure we don't do these things. However, I do want you to make sure that you're not falsely accusing or just saying these things out of hurt and rage. So please be very accurate with what you're posting. And just so you guys know too, we aren't lawyers here, as you've gathered. We're not giving you legal advice. Anything that we do tell you guys, you should definitely look up to on your own and make sure that what we're saying is right. That all being said, if you guys would like to put something down in this chat that would tell us some sort of tricks of weeding out advocates, please let us know. Or if you have a story about an advocate that has ruined your case, please let us know. But and then again, like I said, here's the chat, people, right over. Let me switch spots with Melissa so I can be closer to it. Melissa, I'm switching with you.
Oh,
so go over to there we go. Okay, so right here, right there's the chat. So you guys can go right in there and type away, And please do that. Ask us some questions. We'll get you answers that we can. My
Well,
favorite colors.
you know,
My
there's
number
an
is 7.
advocate
And
out
let's
of
talk about it.
Pennsylvania that I have her name in the text message. I'll have to go back and review it. But I don't know if you, Darren, recall the case where I told you where the judge told her she better have some pubic hair for drug testing.
Yes.
Okay, well, she ended up paying this woman who called herself an advocate $125, $150. And the woman did absolutely nothing. And like she told me, she says, Melissa, she says, I spoke to you 3 times on the phone. You gave me the best advice I had with my entire case. Thanks to you, I've been able to get my judicial complaint done. And I hired this advocate, and they did nothing for me except take my money. And I don't have money like that. She says, I wish I would have gave it to you because the help you gave me was priceless.
Okay.
Carrie, to answer your question, she's asking, how did you become an advocate? Did you just go out on your own or with an organization? So for myself personally, I became an advocate around the end of 2019. And what I did was I started seeing where my CPS case was going and how nobody was helping me. And I couldn't find anybody out there that had any answers. Not in any of the CPS groups. No attorneys would give me any answers, or they would give me just half-ass answers. And I never understood, everything that I needed to understand to get what was going on with my case. Started doing a ton of and in this ton of research, I basically have put myself through law school. I've been told by multiple attorneys that I've got the equivalent of a third-year law student education that I've garnered on my own. And in making mistakes and learning how to do things with my own case, I learned how to help others. And I just went out on my own and I developed my own organization. It's out of Alabama. It's called Parents Helping Children. And I just started helping everybody that I could. And at first I wasn't charging anything, wouldn't take a penny from anybody. Now the only thing I will accept money on is I will take money if you want me to actually use your information to draft a document. I cannot, as a paralegal, I cannot give legal advice and I cannot do legal research for a parent. However, I can take the information you provide me that you want me to use and I can write it up for you. So that's what I will charge for, is the actual writing skills. But that's that I do. Melissa's been an advocate for about a year and a half now, and Melissa just got sick of seeing the crap going on with her case.
In 2009, I used to do it way back then, and then I kind of got away from it for a while because I was dealing with sterile problems. So,
right.
This just threw my ass back into it, and that's been 2.5 years now.
Right.
And it was just something that, we basically became advocates out of necessity. And none of with the specific organization that we help, although we do have affiliations with organizations.
Affiliate. Yes, those people do. Hey, Kim, what is it that you guys charge? How much does an advocate get?
For me, as an advocate itself, I don't charge anything. For the writing, it's $15 an hour.
15?
15, yes.
15.
One hour of work can buy me a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Wow. That people, I would start having her write as many affidavits at least just to start with that price. Holy smokes, Kim. That's amazing that you're able to do that for these people, because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of time, and you can get a lot of work done in an hour. So kudos for you for being able to hold those prices. I mean,
So, Kim, me and Darren have been kind of working on something. We want to attack the Title IV system, the recent funding, the adoption incentives, and we want to find ways to out the extortion.
Okay.
And Darren actually put together a letter, and Connie told us that parts of Title IV have expired in a way that it is false charging by the department to still claim for the funds, because the funds ran out. It expired September of last year. Connie found that out while she was in Washington. It was actually Sarah was there too. Sarah from North Carolina. She had all of them.
Yep. Sarah is actually my mentor. She's actually the one that taught me a lot of the stuff I know and how to really get in and be an advocate.
Yeah, she's been going with Connie out to Washington.
Yep,
but
she's done that for years.
She anyway, so she was talking about the fact that essentially it's fraud on the behalf of the departments to still file the claim for the money. Then we're looking at how to essentially weaponize that argument for the arguments of trying to get the children home.
Well, I mean, I guess that the first thing that's going to have to be done is going to have to be able to prove that. And the way that you're going to be able to prove that is you're going to have to get documentation from the departments to show that the child is under Title IV-E. There is documentation. I mean, each department's going to have different documentation, but there is going to be documentation that is going to show, Title IV-E assigned. The child's assigned as a Title IV-E case. So the first thing that's going to have to be done is to be able to get that. And if that shows that Title IV-E is still being claimed, then that should be pretty easy to prove RICO and fraud.
What Connie had said is first got to file at DOJ, and then you have to file false claim. And I was actually talking to Yancey about it earlier. And Yancey had named some other law. He says, if we can prove this, he says, under this, there's the option to do a case this way. So that's something I'll get to talk to him more about tomorrow.
Okay.
So I want you guys to hear this today. And this is what's so awesome about social media, other than the fact that I started looking it up, and I'm pretty sure I verified most of it. There's a couple of things I needed to look up still, but our great friends over there at the 1 second, sorry, I can't two things at once. Can't chew bubble gum and rub my head and stomach at the same time. Can't do a lot of that stuff, or whatever that is. What is it? Pat your stomach, rub your head, or something. That thing right there. I can't do that. But check this out for all of you people that are talking about suing and RICO and 1983 and all of this stuff. Our great friends over at the Wicked Warrior place, are on their chat today came up with this thing here. Okay. I'm not going to share it. Well, yeah, hell with it. I'll share it. Oh, no, I don't. I don't want to show my friends things. So the article starts with this thing. It says, I think for those of you pursuing fraud upon the court, you should probably read this. And there's an article by a different man. And then it says right here under it are these messages, right? It says, moreover, in a civil rights action, parents cannot appear pro se on behalf of their minor children because a minor's personal cause of action is her own and does not belong to her parent or representation. That's Shepard versus someone. It's blocked out. I can't see it. That's at 1983 action citing Chung and Youth Orchestra found of Buffalo Incorporated. Next thing says, holding in the 1983 action, that under the federal civil penalty 17C and USC 1654, a minor child cannot bring suit through a parent acting as, I can't read what that says, but something next friend. If the parent is not represented by an attorney, therefore Peterson, a non-attorney, cannot bring this action on behalf of her minor child without legal representation. Should Peterson wish to pursue claims on behalf of her child, she must obtain counsel. So these are two case laws that they're using against people trying to attempt to do pro se stuff, I guess, against them. But then there's also this. This one here is the one where I'm like, boy, that's a real, the first one I'm kind of like, but this one here is a real stab. In the instant case, CPS is not a person acting under the color of state law for 1983 purposes. See Will versus Michigan Department of State Police. Plaintiff therefore fails to state claim for relief against CPS. Additionally, a state agent may not be sued in federal court unless the state has waived its sovereign immunity under the 11th Amendment or Congress has overridden it. Puerto Rico Aqueduct Sewer Authorizer Medcalf Eddy Incorporated. Then it says Penhurst State School Hospital versus Balderman, 1984. And it says in enacting 1983, Congress did not intend to override the traditional sovereign immunity of the states. It's Whittington versus Milby. It's therefore the claim against CPS is also barred by the 11th Amendment. See Robinson versus Child Protective Services, 2007. Blah blah blah. Accordingly, plaintiff's claim against CPS will be dismissed for failure to state a claim upon which relief may be granted.
Yeah, so what that means is that whenever an attorney writes a motion, here I'll pull one out here real quick. Let me okay, I'm gonna cover up the top part of it because this is related to that advocate that I was speaking about, and I don't want her name exposed yet, just because I don't want any retaliation when the appeal part goes. So this is just the first page of a motion. I'm asking for the, stating my position, stating what's happened. This is the history. So at the end of it, I'm asking the judge the way you're asking for relief. It's what do I want the judge to order? What do I want the judge to do? That is the.
Oh, Kim's frozen. Kim. Kim is frozen.
Yeah, I think we lost her.
Oh, I lost Kim. So what do you think about that, Melissa, what I just read here? We just lost a couple of viewers here. I don't know if tonight's show isn't as exciting for them as not as usual, but I figured we should get some laundry out anyway. But please bear with us, guys. Kim will be back here. Sometimes we got to do these shows so that we, keep things, up to par. We want to be in touch with you guys that are watching this. So if you're irritated and you don't think that this is good, make sure you tell us in the chat what is good, what's not good. If you guys don't like it, we'll do less of it. If you want more of something, we will do more. But you got to put that information in the chat so that we have answers to answer your question.
Honestly, I think what people should be putting in the chat is things that they would like to see of advocates. What things do they think that advocates should do more of? Because, for someone like me who, I've went all over the country, sticking my nose into cases everywhere. So I can run through the case law really quick and it all makes perfect sense to me. But when dealing with some of these families that are less than adequate with case law and everything else, a lot of people steamroll over them. And they throw in a lot of big words to make it sound like there's something greater than they are. And then they end up doing a shit job, and the person don't know what to expect. Therefore, what do people expect? What do they want to see? What do they think are the strong points that an advocate can help with?
Right. And you're right. What things do they think, or what things are they thinking that they should help with? And what do they think advocates can actually accomplish for them too, right? Like, not just what can they do, but
well, I mean, if Connie ends up getting that one case law pushed through Congress there, you know, advocates will be able to go in the courtroom and help parents in a pro se argument. Yeah, because they'll be able to sit there and help push the case in the correct direction. Now, when I was up in Maine with the family up there, they allowed me to go ahead and do that. You know, because Maine just don't have enough attorneys.
Right.
On the other hand, I damn sure ain't going to walk into a Tennessee court as an advocate and be able to open my mouth. So, you know, I think it's a little bit of everything. Advocates should listen to find out more of what, you know, what's requested of them, instead of steamrolling over these people and just because you can throw some, you know, legal garble bullshit at them, that you're dazzling them, you know, and producing nothing.
And you always trust but verify. That's my biggest policy: trust but verify. Never hand anybody any money unless you have verified that they are who they say they are. They've done what they say they done. Don't just sit there. I mean, you wouldn't just hand a complete stranger $100 and say, "Hey, would you go buy me, go buy me some coffee or some cigarettes?" Why would you hand somebody $100, complete stranger that you haven't verified, and say, "Go get my kids back for"? You know, I will say though, on that note, Kim, the lady, her name's Kim too, that I helped out in Maine. She didn't know me from Adam. She just knew me from the show, and I told her, I said, you know, I can't offer you a huge repertoire, but I can offer you the promise that you cover the fuel. I'll be there, and I will make waves. And by God, I went there and I damn sure made waves. And a very important motion that I filed that the judge has never responded to, we may turn around and file something against that motion, because it was a Rule 60B, and the judge acknowledged it, said she was going to hold a hearing on it, and then refused to ever speak about it again. And Maine has a 90-plus day rule. So it's only now at the point that we can argue that she failed to hear the motion and ask for an appeal on it.
Right. So, I mean, appeal is your right to have an appeal. I mean, a lot of parents don't realize that if a judge doesn't respond to your motion, it doesn't mean you have no recourse. When the judge does not respond within the time allotted by law, like, for example, in Alabama, they must respond within 14 days. That doesn't mean they must schedule a hearing to discuss it within 14 days. They must hear your motion within whatever allotment it is by law. If they did not, it's called denied by operation of law. That means that you are in the first, you are at the first step to the ability to appeal. So you can go in, you can file a motion to vacate, alter, or amend, which is asking the judge to reconsider their denial. And then you start that 14-day, 30-day, whatever it is in your state process over again. And if the judge refuses to respond to that one, again, with a granted or denied,
then you can file a notice of intent to appeal and you can bring it up to a higher court. But when you go to appeal, and this is what a lot of parents don't understand, when you go to appeal, you cannot appeal the entire case. You can only appeal the one part that you're arguing.
And that's what I've been preaching a lot of lately is saying, listen, people, make sure, because your attorneys aren't going to do this for you. Your court-appointed attorneys are not going to do this. Make sure that you get every bit of information you can get into your trial. Make sure it's brought up. Make sure it's inserted into your trial. Whether it's, I don't even care if it's a sentence. Just make sure it gets in there, because they can only argue what was spoken or what was done in that trial, what was legally bound or however. But if you'd have, your caseworker lied, well, guess what? If that wasn't brought up at your trial, no dice, Chino. You don't get to ask you that question in an appeal. Caseworker lying is obsolete. It has to be what is brought up in your trial. That's the only thing that you can do to argue in your appeal. And it also has to be by breaking the law. So, I mean, people just think that your appeal allows you to just go in and start over. That's not the case whatsoever. So make sure if your lawyer doesn't get a bunch of information in that trial, you do it yourself. Make sure that you put it in your evidence. Do something. Make sure that stuff comes along, because you'll be stuck there. And they're doing this on purpose. That's why you're seeing day in and day out appeals are denied, because they didn't ever argue anything that was arguable. They never brought in anything that was questionable, and they sure as shit didn't bring in anything that was favorable towards you. They all have the same case.
And another front on the appeal. So when you have a court-appointed attorney that does a shit job for your trial, and you didn't get to bring in the important arguable evidence, this is something that me and I guess you could say my little legal team between Richard and Yancey and all them, we've been discussing. And that is where your Rule 60 motions come into play, or your Rule 55 motions, because those are the motions that allow you to bring in the argument of a new evidence not heard in your trial. And it is an appealable document. You get to use your trial, you get to use that motion. It really is a hindsight motion where you can finish rounding off your arguments by putting it in that motion and use that motion to ask for your appeal.
Right. The other thing is, one of the things that I do with the parents that I help is I teach them how to do what's called a parental court report. CPS, before any court date, CPS does a CPS court report. And basically what this is CPS writing up a document where they're saying, this is everything that has happened since the last time we were before the judge. We want to make sure that all of this is on the record. In this, you can also submit evidence. If you have documents, let's say that, every time you've gone in and you had your monthly meeting, or every 6-month meeting, in Alabama, it's called an ISP. I'm not sure what it is in every other state. But it's the meeting CPS where they say, we want you to do this service or that service or what have you. Whenever you have those meetings, when you sit there and say, okay, I've done parenting classes twice. I've passed every drug test. I've got my house the way you want it. I've got this. I've done everything you've asked me to do. And then CPS goes in and tells the judge, well, they're not cooperating. They won't do what we asked them to do. So you have proof that you have done it, but the judge won't let you speak to say this. You can make sure that it's on the record. And even though the judge won't hear it, it's on the record, and you can use that as part of your appeal when you put it in your parental court report.
Right. Now, do you recommend people writing as many affidavits as possible too? For their
affidavits are a little bit tricky because an affidavit is usually considered hearsay. So it's generally something that you want to try to do more of a parental court report as opposed to an affidavit. You could write it
write an affidavit and title it something a little different. But I still would recommend, even though they can be considered hearsay, if you've got people that can vouch to your ability to be a good parent, to the fact that CPS is taking your children for no reason, they're lying about you, go ahead and admit those as part of your parental court report. They're gonna be they're not going to be looked at as evidence because they are considered hearsay. But when the appeals court sees your case, and what they do is read what's in the document. They read what's in the case file. They don't listen to argument. 98% of cases on appeal do not have oral arguments. They only have a review of the record. There's one saying in law: if it's not in writing, it did not happen. So you always want to make sure that everything you do, you want to try to make sure you get it on the record. Submit it as part of a parental court report. I have a parental court report that I've got worked with my mentor Sarah that we created for parents, and I will be more than happy to share that with any parent that wants to get in touch with me. I can get you a copy of it. Just message me on Facebook with your email address, and I can shoot you a copy over.
Very cool. Hey, did you hear our letter that we had? Did you hear the letter that we had?
No,
All right, so check this out. Well, I'll read it to you here. All right, so this is the letter that we have to get people going on reading. So this is send out to anybody, any of you out there, if you want this, it's abolishcps.com at Gmail. But any of you that are out there, you want the copy, I'm begging you to get the copy of this. And you can send this to your senators, your congressmen, your police officers, your nurses, school teachers, your favorite pet. I don't care. Anyone that can get something done, send it to them. But it is. Hold on a second here. Wrong one. Let's see.
Carrie, no, you cannot appeal each and every decision or judgment of the judge. There are only certain things that are appealable, and that depends on your specific specific state as to what items are appealable. So if you have questions as far as something specific being appealable, you can't appeal. Let's say the court orders, let's say you're in a family court case as opposed to a CPS case, and the court orders your ex-husband to let you have the children every weekend instead of every other weekend like he wants to. And you try to get the judge to hold him in contempt. You don't get to appeal that judge refusing to hold him in contempt. You would have to go in and file a writ of mandamus to have the higher court order your judge to act within the law and hold your ex in a contempt of court. So no, not everything can be appealed.
All right. So this, oh shoot, fire. I'm sorry. I thought I had it here. This letter, though, like I said, this letter is going to go to whomever you can to get it there to investigate what is going on. And it says, Dear State Child Welfare Agency, U.S. Department of Health, you get it, whoever you're sending it to. It says, I am writing to formally request an investigation into potential misuse of fraudulent activities related to Title 4E federal funding for child welfare services in our state/area. Specifically, I have concerns that Title 4E funds may be improperly utilized or reported by a little space for all your information. Some of these issues I'd like to investigate include, and you put those up there, failure to make reasonable efforts to prevent removal of children from homes, improper determinations of eligibility for Title 4E funded services, unauthorized use of funds for purposes outside allowable child welfare services, falsification of data or case records used to draw federal funds, failure to properly account for funds or comply with auditing requirements. Then you have a little space there for specific information that will help you. You put that in there, a couple sentences, and then it says, Misappropriation, or fraud involving these federal funds deprives at-risk children and families critical support services. It also violates the intended purpose of the Title IV-E program. I urge you to promptly investigate these claims and take appropriate enforcement actions if violations are found. Safeguarding the integrity of child welfare funding is extremely important. I'm available to discuss this matter further or provide additional information as needed. Sign it, ship it off, send it away. And let's see what we can do, people, because someone's got to listen if a bunch of us are sending these letters. So email me, I'll send you a copy of it. You know, you can make 10, 20, 30, however many you can make, and just send these things out there and let's get the word out, because the more investigations we can do, the more tied up they are going to be, and the easier it's going to be to stop these children from getting snatched up by them. So they're not, there's no surplus right now, so they're not too concerned about
something else to be done. A very good friend of Connie Reguli is Terry LaPointe. She's a journalist. And Terry just wrote a book called Voices That Will Not Be Silenced. It's available on Amazon. It is a fantastic book. It tells about what happens with CPS. It can tell about not just Child Protective Services part of it, but the Adult Protective Services part of it. The name of it is Voices That Will Not Be Silenced. You can order it off Amazon, and if you have the ability to be able to order a copy or two, I would suggest order a copy and send it to your state senator. Send it to your local representative and tell them, I would like you to read this. Please read this book. Because Terry's never been a victim of CPS. She's never had any family members be victims of CPS. Terry has only written the articles that she's written from a journalist standpoint, somebody that's looking in from the outside. So everything that she's written in this book, Voices That Will Not Be Silenced, she tells about parents whose families have been destroyed by CPS. She tells about the things that we try to talk about and get out that nobody wants to hear from us because, you're just whining because you're a bad parent and you got called. She tells the story with her having looked up and researched everything and verified that everything that these parents are saying is true, that they're not just whining, blubbering victims, that really did do something wrong and really don't deserve to have their kids. So if you have the financial ability to be able to order a copy of the book, I think it's $19.99, order it and have it sent to your state representatives, to your senator. We need to get these things in every state house so that people can see it. People can have access to this book and read what's really going on.
Yep. That's so important too. Make sure that you educate yourselves before you go out and you start thinking. Don't go on what other people you just say to you. Please, please, please don't do that. Make sure that you look up every bit of information that you're told, even the things that we're telling you. Make sure that you guys look this stuff up. It's very important. That way, number one, you know what knowledge you're spreading. And number two, you know that the knowledge you're spreading is accurate. You don't want to be responsible for someone going to court saying the wrong thing, the wrong place, wrong time, and then now they've lost their kids. And to have that guilt on you, you're already in a bad enough spot. You don't need to have that. So please, people, make sure that always you guys check your facts with us. And then there's that. But
this is the book. So if anybody's looking, this is the book. It's Terry LaPointe, TerriLapoint. You get it on Amazon. You can ship it wherever you want it to be shipped. Terry is a very good friend of mine. She's a very good friend of Connie Reguli's. And Connie, I believe, wrote I think she wrote the foreword on the book. I'd have to double check. But Connie wrote something for the book for Terry. And
it would be a wonderful tool to be able to help get people to really see what really truly is going on.
Agreed.
The other thing that we thought about, Carrie, about becoming an advocate, one of the things that I found is that when I told people my story, I had people turn away from me. They looked at me negatively, and you're just a bad parent that's whining because you lost your kids. So
Right.
I started telling people my story. What I did was I told them that it was my best friend's story or it was somebody else's story. And I said, this is why I became an advocate, because I watched this person have these things happen. And when I told them my story, but letting it be somebody else's, everybody listened. They wanted to know more. They asked me questions. They were flabbergasted and appalled that these things were happening. And that's one of the things that I found has been the biggest tool for me in being not just an advocate, but being a voice for other parents, and being an activist, is to be able to find a way to get people to hear you. And sometimes you might have to just kind of, cut corners just a tad bit, like I have my face, but it's somebody else's story, to be able to get people to listen.
There was something I was looking up here. I don't know if I can find it here. Hold on a second. Do you have any specific case law or anything, guys, that you, or girls, that you can think of that you want to make sure that you use in these situations, or that you would cite for your own purposes, like, the smokestack, or like anything along those lines? Like any sort of
versus Granville is one of the biggest case law, and
what is
that Troxel versus Granville.
Oh yeah. Obviously, yeah.
So that is one of the biggest one, and everybody needs to try to use that some way in their case.
Okay.
So that we can fortify that case even stronger.
And what is the base of Troxel versus Granville for these people?
Troxel versus Granville basically says that parents have the right to parent their own children without the interference of the government. It's essentially, there's a lot more legality to it. Right. But like Darren said, look at everything. When you see a case, a show like this, or any other CPS show, when you have these people up there talking and they start talking about cases, or they start talking about doing this or doing that or doing the other, take notes. Take notes on every one of these things. This is what I did when I first started. Take notes on every single bit of what you're hearing. And then when you're done with watching that podcast, or watching whatever it is, or listening to whatever it is, go and look that up and see if the Social Security Act of 1935, which states that the government cannot use parents' mental health as an excuse to be able to remove their children. Yeah. See if that's true. See if what I just told you is true. Verify that there is that somewhere. And then find out whether or not that applies to your case. Did CPS take your kids because they say that you have mental illness? Did they try to use your psychological evaluation against you to say that you're not a fit parent because of a psychological evaluation? And if they did,
right,
use that.
They did, okay. And that matters as to the psychological evaluation. What about substance abuse evaluation? Is that the same type system, or is there something different there?
The Social Security Act of 1935 doesn't differentiate between mental health and substance abuse. Okay. We do have several states that actually consider substance abuse as a separate mental health issue. Arkansas, for example, actually considers that a mental health issue. And if you are somebody who's got repeated DUIs, you're not necessarily locked up, but you're forced to go into rehabilitation programs.
Right.
They know that just locking you up, criminalizing your mental health issue, is not going to do anything to help anybody.
Right.
So it really kind of depends. Social Security Act really, I think it really looks at more things such as low IQ, that referred to as mental retardation, Down syndrome, things that you would look at parents and not wanting to judge, but you would judge them and say, I'm not sure if you could actually take care of your kids because you weren't even smart enough to be able to graduate high school, or you're not smart enough to be able to count money to work at McDonald's, what have you. Those kind of things were definitely meant with the Act of 1935. Now, we do have a lot of case law that has used the Act of 1935 and has kind of built upon it, but it's more mental health, that there's the ability to control it with medication, and faulting a parent because they are on medication for that. I've seen parents that have very well controlled bipolar disorder lose their children because CPS says, well, you've got bipolar disorder, you can't possibly be a good parent. As a matter of fact, that's not true. There is an attorney, a very well-known attorney in Florida, so well known and such an outspoken advocate against CPS, that they actually went after her in a similar fashion that they have Connie. She's bipolar. And she is one of the smartest people I know. Her children, she's got 3 gorgeous children, very intelligent, very well-mannered. The woman's loaded. She's bipolar. She is bipolar, but she is well-medicated. There's no reason she should have her kids taken. But parents are looked at negatively because you are on medication.
Right. That's the thing. That's right. Absolutely. And like, those are not reasons to give a TPR to you. That's not a reason to separate you from your child because you're medicated.
Right.
That is not a reason at all. Substance abuse is not a reason. Like, there's a abundance of issues that they're trying to pin on us as parents that are not actual imminent danger situations, that they're trying to false us out into thinking that they are, and that we need to abide by these people. But lo and behold, we watch a couple of movies and or documentaries, and you're going to find very quickly that there's been some anyway.
And imminent danger, unfortunately, we don't have a legal definition. We don't have a narrow enough legal definition. Imminent danger is very much subjective. So while one person may think that your child is in severe danger because you left your 5-week-old in the baby bed while you walked out to the mailbox, somebody might say your child was in imminent danger because of that, while another parent looking at them, rolling their eyes, going, "Are you serious?"
Right.
So
it's not a big deal. We do it all the time. Right. Yep. Are you serious? So, well, that was good. I'm just moving this here so I can get back and see you guys here. What about this upcoming election, Kim? Who do you like? Who do you see? Who do you? What kind of information do you have for that?
Well, obviously we don't want Biden back in office. You know, I'm really worried that Trump is going to, that the whole trial with Trump is going to end up lasting long enough that they push past the election to
Right.
where he doesn't qualify to be on the ballot. And I think that's all.
I think that at the end of this, we're going to be fine with him. I don't want to get into that rigmarole because that just causes hate and discontent. But I do believe that God will work and this election will work its way out too. I mean, we all just need to show the right people the support. You know what I mean? I mean, we all know that White House right now is full of pedophiles and the people that are below them are. And, you know, it's common sense that we should be able to know that we need to get that administration out of there and move that along. But as far as state senators and judges and all of these things, do you have anything like that keep an eye on for people and wherever? Like, is there any place that you've seen a prominent Democrat or Republican, I don't care which side they're on, as long as they're about helping abolish this system, and as long as they're helping, wanting to help the children and the adults that are being trafficked, that's all, that's it. I mean, because you haven't heard Josh Hockley making much noise lately. He came out with a bang, and I don't know where he's gone to now. But anybody else that you've noticed too?
No, nobody that I've really gravitated towards, or anybody that's made me want to listen to them twice.
Right.
I mean, even with what was it? Vchek was up there for president. That was something that we had a strong backing for him in Alabama with the Republican Party, and I'm a card-carrying member of the Republican Party in Alabama, and we had a strong backing. And I was there when he spoke in Alabama, just the day before the debate that took place in Alabama. And I just couldn't get behind him. I mean, he talked a good game, but there was just something in my spirit that just did not feel like he was the right person.
The energy wasn't with you.
Yep.
What about you, Herbert? You got any politicians or anything out there that you think people need to either pay attention to, watch out for?
No, it seems like there's something going on in our nation beyond Biden and beyond Trump, based on all that's going on.
Right.
I feel this. I can't put my finger on it. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's something bigger.
Right. What is it? What's the elephant in the room? What are you thinking?
Can't identify. I can't identify what the elephant in the room is. Wow. I can say this, that recently, as recent as this week, which is Monday. Today's what, Tuesday? I think it was Sunday or Monday. I heard that number one, Mexico is going to have something happen with the migrants coming in through Arizona. They're going to put almost a halt to that because they're using my state as a gateway to the rest of the United States.
Which is Arizona.
Yeah. We don't see them here as much as I see them in Chicago and New York and other states, but we don't feel it here like that. But they come through this state.
Come through, they drop them off.
Sure. And I know that in Texas, they're trying to slow that down. So they're coming through between California, Arizona, and Texas. And I believe that Mexico has stepped up to the bat to try to slow it down. And I heard that this week.
All right. Well, I mean, Mexico's...
Hopefully that's accurate.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, hopefully you were given accurate information.
Yeah, usually I get, because I live in the state, so
Yeah.
I get first-hand information.
Yep.
I know that they have a couple of bills out there where it's just a bill, but they want to make it so that the farmers where migrants are going on their farms, they're trespass, and they want to have a bill. I'll send it to you, Darren. A bill that says shoot anybody on your property. Sounds horrible, but that's Arizona, and that's a bill that they actually put in.
They actually have something similar in Florida.
Yeah.
What's it like in Florida?
I'm not sure exactly what it is. I know that recently there was a homeowner actually shot somebody that was trespassing in Sarasota County, Florida, and the Sarasota County sheriff actually got on TV and was like, "Look, whoever did this, you're not in trouble. You know, we want to help you. Come talk to us because we want to put you through a handgun or a gun course so we can teach you how to shoot better. Because we would rather you shoot these fools than us have to waste our money coming out there chasing them."
Okay. Well, here, I'll send Darren the bill. There's an actual bill that's going in that says farmers can shoot anybody on their property. So usually shooting somebody, it's in self-defense or if you're in fear of your life. Because Florida and Arizona has the same law of the castle doctrine, which you have the right to stand your grounds. But you don't have the right to protect property. In other words, if somebody was stealing your car, you can't shoot them. You see? But if they pass that bill into law, you can shoot somebody on your property. That'll be legal.
I mean, I think that if they really did some digging, I think we already have statutory law to support that. I mean, back in the days of Little House on the Prairie, that was exactly what you had the legal right to do. It's after the Declaration of Independence was signed. So if they had the legal right to do that back then that means that they would have had to have enacted statutory law to make it illegal to do it. So if there's no law that's made it illegal to do it,
they don't know.
Some legal research that needs to be done to show that it's already there. We just need to learn how to enforce it.
Well, Little House on the Prairie is gone, and it's not legal to shoot for property. That's why I said if somebody was stealing your car in your driveway, you cannot shoot them because it's property. You might hit them across the head with a baseball bat. You can slap them in the face with a golf club, but you can't shoot them.
Right. But you got to do whatever you got to do in that situation too. Don't ever fall yourself short of a defensive situation.
No, but if you feel like your life is in danger and you stand your grounds, you have the right to defend yourself. You have a right to shoot someone.
In most states, Alabama, you don't.
In Alabama, you can't?
No, you cannot. Actually, in Alabama, I want to say it was 2018. There was a woman, her ex-boyfriend came into her house and held her hostage, held her and her children or child hostage, and raped her repeatedly, had her held hostage for like 36 hours. And she ended up having, I think it was her brother, came in unexpectedly, and there was a distraction, and she ended up shooting the ex. And she was convicted of murder.
Oh, wow.
So Alabama doesn't have to stand your grounds then?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, it's just like New York. New York is the same way. If you have a legal gun, you're in your home, somebody breaks in your house, you're supposed to take your gun and yourself and go out the back door. You cannot confront the threat.
Yep.
So a lot of states, I know New York is like that. I think California is like that too. You have to leave the threat. You have to go away from the threat. But if you're trapped in a room on the 3rd floor and you can't get out, now you can squeeze the trigger.
Yep. Yeah, it's quite messed up.
A lot of this is, but we're sorting through it all, and we're gonna get there. This hour just cruises right by, guys.
It really does.
Do you have anything more that we need to say? I mean, are we going to go? You guys ready to go to the last word? Oop. That was my key. If anybody saw that, wondered. What do you think?
Well,
you ready to go to the last words?
If you earlier you had suggested that we do a advocate wall of shame.
Mm-hmm.
If parents, if anybody wants to add a name to the advocate wall of shame, make certain that you have verifiable proof of the things that you're saying. If you do not have verifiable proof, you can say that this is my opinion of.
Right.
That's why this advocate that I've been dealing with, I have not named her name. I will not name her name until we are completely done with the restraining order, even though the restraining order was granted on Friday, because there is an appealable issue. I'm still not going to say her name until we are solid on that restraining order. Once we're solid on that restraining order, and I have stuff that I can say, this is the court record, then I will talk about it. But if I go and do it before then, she can go after me for slander, even with me having documents.
God, it's just so much technical stuff, like this is why it's important to study up and read on what what you're doing and how to do it and what, there's just so many components and people don't realize, they think that it's just, we're just whipping this together, but a lot of our hard work comes from extra time, and then studying this stuff and then extra time, like doing work and then studying this stuff. So it's hard to maintain that schedule. So just please, guys, be appreciative for everybody that, if you're watching this and you've gotten help from, one of these groups, my groups, or any of this stuff, please, send them $5 or $10 at least if you can, because there's a lot of us out there that are losing touch with our customer base because we can't pay for the ongoing things. So let's make sure that doesn't happen to at least us and the people that are on here. So if you guys can help us out in any way, there's a little thing right up here. If you can help Kim, if you can help Connie's, if you can help Josie's funds, all that, go ahead and send it to here. There's a Fundly site set up on my abolishcps.com site that you can go there and do it manually over the phone, or you can go to PayPal, which is Fight CPS. Yeah, it's Fight CPS, I believe, on the PayPal. Never mind, don't worry about that one because I don't know that one for a fact. But you can do it on the abolishcps.com site, or you can do it to this Cash App, which is GFYJDG 2021. That being said, last words there, Miss Kim?
If anybody needs any help, look me up on Facebook. The way that my name is spelled here is the way my Facebook name is spelled. Message me, and whatever I can do to help, I will certainly try.
All right, thank you. Herbert, you're up, my man.
Yeah, I'd like to tell you folks to keep your head on a swivel, and if you know you're involved with CPS issues and stuff, don't let people into your house without warrants, without court order anyway. Court order warrants. You have the right to not let them in unless they can show you reasons why they can come in. And don't be intimidated by a uniformed police officer with them, because they called the police to protect themselves, because they don't know if you're going to go off on them or what. So right. Don't be intimidated by the uniform.
But also remember that majority of the time, those cops are under the influence or under the mistaken assumption that CPS has the legal authority to take your children without a court order. they are not educated totally as to understand that they must have imminent danger or a court order. And even with imminent danger, they can only hold the children for 72 hours without a court order. So just because the cop comes does not mean they know what they're talking about. The best thing to do, what'll scare the crap out of CPS if they don't have a court order, is they knock on your door, you tell them that you will have your attorney call them, even if you don't have an attorney. Tell them you do. Tell them you will have your attorney call them, ask for their information. You will have your attorney get to them. 9 times out of 10, that is going to make them leave.
All right. Perfect.
I agree with you.
Good job, Herbert. Melissa, last words, please.
Don't ever quit fighting for your kids. No one will love them the way that you do. And when you quit fighting and you give up all hope, then who the heck's there to defend the little person from the big, bad, evil people?
Sure does. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys very much for tonight. Melissa, you want to take everybody out of here? That would be great. Thank you all for being with me tonight. We'll be on tomorrow night, same time, same place. And Kim, I want you to come back very soon, please. Thank you.
Will do.
All right. All right, guys. All right. Well, you've seen tonight that we need to pay attention to what's going on in the world of the advocate, because there are many out there that will be there to help you, but there are many more that are out there to hurt you. So please, excuse me, be wary of where you're sending your money. Pay attention to who's giving you information, and make sure that if they are giving you information, it's the right stuff to do it. I am the CPS Corruption, and I'm out of here. Good night, guys. Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and tell them all about it. All those things that help us so that we can get out here. Have a good night, guys.